listening to the WrestleHavoc Podcast on YouTube, where we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. We talk all that goes on in the realm of WWE and AEW every week. And now, here's your host, the one that will give you a reality check on pro wrestling, Flamin' Ricky DeReyes. This is the WrestleHavoc Podcast.
What's up, everybody? It is Flamin' Ricky DeReyes, right here to cover AEW Dynamite from May 24th, 2023. It is the go-home show before this Sunday's Double or Nothing pay-per-view, in which we have the main event of the evening, in which it will be MJF defending his AEW World Title against the rest of the Pillars, that being Jungle Boy, Sammy Guevara, and Darby Allin. We got a lot of things to cover right here on the show. We had Orange Cassidy taking on Kyle Fletcher from Aussie Open. Aussie Open is officially All Elite, and Orange Cassidy defended his international title. We also had the announcement that Tony Khan was going to make on the premier location for AEW Collision, and by no surprise, it was all over the rumor mill. The show will be taking place at the United Center in Chicago, Illinois. So it looks like CM Punk is on his way back to AEW. Granted, the announcement was kind of a week too late considering all the drama regarding CM Punk, but it looks like CM Punk is going to be on his way back, and I will be talking about that as well on the show. We also had other stuff. We had the contract signing with Chris Jericho and Adam Cole for their match, which is going to be an unsanctioned match at Double or Nothing, in which we had Sabu be announced as the special enforcer. I'm going to be giving you guys my thoughts on that as well, and a bunch more right here on the AEW Dynamite review, right here on the WrestleHavoc Podcast. But before I get on with all this craziness regarding AEW Dynamite, make sure to like and subscribe to the WrestleHavoc Podcast right here on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and as the frickin' referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications. Also, the WrestleHavoc Podcast is also available on audio platforms. It is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, and Google Podcasts. So if you guys want to listen to the WrestleHavoc Podcast in audio format, it is available on all of those platforms. And of course, the Raw review is up on the channel if you guys haven't checked it out. Of course, I talk about the go-home show before this Saturday's Night of Champions pay-per-view. We got a WWE pay-per-view and an AEW pay-per-view on back-to-back nights. We have Night of Champions on Saturday, and of course we have Double or Nothing on Sunday, but we talk about the go-home show that was not important at all, that being Monday Night Raw. If you guys didn't check out the Raw review, the link will be in the description below. Also, if you guys haven't checked it out, episode 15 of the WrestleHavoc Podcast is also up on the channel. It's been up for a couple of days now, and I talked about all the drama that unfolded with CM Punk regarding the AEW Collision announcement. I definitely gave my thoughts on this whole situation. It was just ridiculous, man. Everywhere CM Punk goes, it's always drama, but it looks like, as of what we saw on Wednesday, he is going to be on his way back. But I give my thoughts on the whole CM Punk drama on episode 15 of the WrestleHavoc Podcast. So if you guys haven't checked out those two videos, both links for both videos will be in the link in the description below. Also, when it comes to the predictions for Double or Nothing, I'm actually going to be giving you guys my predictions for Double or Nothing once again on the Dynamite review, because on episode 15 I actually did give my predictions for Double or Nothing, but I said some matches that, number one, are not even going to be taking place on the show. For example, Keith Lee versus Swerve Strickland is not going to be taking place on the show, as well as Ricky Starks versus Switchblade Jay White. That is not going to be taking place on the show either. So I'm going to be basically redoing my whole predictions right here on the Dynamite review, so be on the lookout for that as well. And of course, be on the lookout for the reviews that I'm going to be having up this weekend. Of course, we got SmackDown tonight, as well as Night of Champions tomorrow afternoon. So the SmackDown review hopefully will be up by later tonight, as well as Night of Champions. By tomorrow night, I will be having that review up as well. And hopefully when it comes to Double or Nothing on Sunday, I can have it up on Sunday night. But if not, I will have it up on Monday morning. So be on the lookout for those videos as well, because we got a big weekend coming up in pro wrestling. We got Night of Champions and we got Double or Nothing. It's going to be a big weekend. But let's get on with the Dynamite review. The show kicks off with Orange Cassidy. It's literally a common occurrence with Orange Cassidy defending his international title, opening the show, which definitely it's starting to kind of piss people off. Not because Orange Cassidy is bad. Everybody loves Orange Cassidy. I'm a big Orange Cassidy fan. But it's starting to become a common occurrence that Orange Cassidy is literally the first thing on Dynamite almost every week. Not every week, but almost every week. So honestly, AEW should really dim down on that a little bit. But he faces off against Kyle Fletcher, who is one half, I believe, of the New Japan Strong Tag Team Champions, Aussie Open, along with Mark Davis. If you guys haven't checked out Aussie Open, of course, they're a part of the United Empire. Aussie Open's fucking awesome. I'm a big Aussie Open fan. They're fantastic. They're a really, really good tag team. I saw some of their stuff in Ring of Honor as well, man. Great stuff by Aussie Open, but I believe Mark Davis is injured, which sucks because AEW did sign Aussie Open to a long-term contract with AEW. It was actually announced this past Wednesday during Dynamite that Aussie Open is officially All Elite. And I believe Tony Khan even, it went on record. I don't think he said this, but I believe it was Sean Ross Sapp, correct me if I'm wrong, stated that Tony Khan and AEW paid fully for Mark Davis' injury. So that is good on them. But nonetheless, we had Orange Cassidy versus Kyle Fletcher for the International Championship. Overall thoughts on this match. This was a very, very, very good match. I loved this match for what it was. Man, there's a lot of hard-hitting spots on this match, man. There's a lot of crazy shit that happened in this match. Orange Cassidy was literally taking a beating of a lifetime throughout the majority of this whole match. And, of course, they are telling the story of Orange Cassidy basically starting to get a little bit exhausted from defending his title almost every week on television. And he is also going to put himself in a 20-man battle royal this coming Sunday at Double or Nothing. And the match actually ended with Orange Cassidy basically escaping Kyle Fletcher by pinning him with a roll-up. But immediately as the match starts, Kyle Fletcher just goes for a furious kick to the back of the neck of Cassidy. And then he goes for a brain buster immediately on Orange Cassidy. So really, right off the get-go, Kyle Fletcher is just going straight after this man. We get a cover into near fall, but then we get a bunch of drop kicks on Cassidy onto the outside. After that, we get a suicide dive by Kyle Fletcher on the outside, followed by a clothesline. And then we get a cover and a near fall, but then Cassidy rolls to the outside. Kyle goes to the top, but then Cassidy pushes Kyle to the apron, landing on his back. And then he drops him down again with the DDT. Once again, Cassidy goes back into the ring, but then Cassidy on the outside hits the beach break on Kyle Fletcher on the outside. Cassidy at this point is desperately trying to get the count-out win, which is very rare, especially for a babyface like Orange Cassidy, because normally a babyface does not, want to get a count-out victory. Usually when you book babyfaces, you do not see that when it comes to a babyface. But again, with the story that they're telling with Orange Cassidy, it makes total sense why Orange Cassidy wants to go for the count-out win. But Cassidy's in the ring, and then Fletcher immediately goes back. We get a cover by Cassidy and a near fall. And then we get a cover by Kyle Fletcher, and once again, we get a near fall as well. We get a thrust kick missed by Kyle Fletcher, and then we get a drop kick by Cassidy, but then we get a super kick by Fletcher, and then we get a cover by Fletcher and a near fall. After that, he hits repeated right hands. After that, Kyle picks him up, and then Cassidy's hands drop. Of course, Cassidy taunting Kyle Fletcher. After that, Kyle Fletcher hits a delayed vertical suplex. After that, we get a cover by Fletcher and a near fall, and once we're back from break, Kyle picks him up. Cassidy then counters the Stunt Dog Millionaire, but then Cassidy goes for the Tornado DDT. We then get a cover by Cassidy and a near fall, but then Cassidy is up on the top. And then Cassidy gets taken to the outside via a drop kick. After that, Kyle then takes Cassidy to the top. Cassidy pushes him off, but then we get a crossbody attempt, but then Fletcher catches him and hits a Michinoku driver, the first of many Michinoku drivers in this match. We then get a cover by Fletcher and a near fall. We then get a thrust kick blocked by Cassidy, but then Fletcher manages to go for a right hand, which drops Cassidy on his knees. After that, he goes for the high kick, that being Kyle Fletcher. And then Cassidy turns things around and hits a brain buster. After that, both men exchange shots. Cassidy goes for, he does his basically typical Orange Cassidy shtick with his kicks and stuff. And Fletcher misses a kick. We get a thrust kick by Cassidy, but then Cassidy goes for the Michinoku driver of his own. We then get a cover by Cassidy, but Fletcher counters and goes for the roll-up. After that, we get a near fall. Then Fletcher goes for the Tombstone Pile Driver, and immediately after he hit the first Tombstone Pile Driver, he goes for a second Tombstone Pile Driver. We then get a cover and a near fall, but then Fletcher drags Cassidy into the corner. He goes to the top, but then Orange manages to go to the top as well. Fletcher then picks him up once again, and then he tries to go for a third. It looks like he tries to go for a third Tombstone Pile Driver off the top. But what happens is instead of a Tombstone Pile Driver, he goes for a Michinoku driver off the top. And then Fletcher goes for the cover, and we get another near fall. We get a running kick by Fletcher. He picks up Cassidy, but then Cassidy hits a DDT countering Fletcher, and then he runs into a thrust kick by Fletcher, but then Cassidy manages to go for the roll-up, and then he wins the match and retains the AEW International Championship. So overall thoughts on this match. This was a great match nonetheless. I really liked this match. Orange Cassidy, man, say what you want about Orange Cassidy, man. Even today, AEW started in 2019. And from the first time people saw Orange Cassidy on that very first Double or Nothing show on the buy-in, and, they saw him doing all those kicks, I believe it was on Tommy Dreamer, everybody made a mockery out of Orange Cassidy saying, oh, he's not a wrestler, blah, blah, blah. But then as the years progressed, Orange Cassidy really kind of stood out with everybody and showed everybody and all the naysayers that he can actually wrestle in the ring, and hence why he is now the international champion, in my opinion. And honestly, so far, Orange Cassidy's international championship run has been fantastic. It's honestly safe to say at this point, the international championship is right now AEW's main mid-card championship, because it just has so much focus on it right now that with a guy like Orange Cassidy holding that championship, whoever, wins that title from Cassidy is going to gain instant credibility. And not only that, they are going to solidify that title. For example, a guy like Rush can definitely get elevated by having a dominant run with that championship, or a guy like Konosuke Takeshita can literally get elevated on the card by holding a championship like this. Or maybe a guy like Switchblade Jay White. You got a lot of people saying that Jay White is underutilized. Meanwhile, he's in a freaking feud with Ricky Starks. He's in the Battle Royal on Double or Nothing. If there's a guy that could easily win the international championship from Orange Cassidy, it can be Jay White in the Battle Royal. There's a lot of possibilities here, but they're definitely starting to plant the seeds for Orange Cassidy's eventual downfall and dropping of the international championship. But nonetheless, Orange Cassidy opening the show, it's been a common occurrence throughout these past couple of weeks, throughout these past couple of months on Dynamite. With Orange Cassidy opening Dynamite, honestly, I think it's a little bit over redundant. Nothing against Orange Cassidy, but honestly, it's a little bit too much, and kind of, it's the same thing over and over and over again. So really, Tony Khan should really kind of dim it down when it comes to Orange Cassidy. We all know he pulls the highest rating, says Tony Khan, but again, Orange Cassidy opening up Dynamite is starting to become a little bit more redundant. But nonetheless, the International Championship, of course, is still in the hands of Orange Cassidy, and right now he is going to be heading on his way to Double or Nothing as he defends his title against 20 other men in the Blackjack Battle Royale. After that, we have Ricky Starks in a backstage interview. He talks about how, his head is not in the right place. He is here, and he, was in full control after last week. And basically just talks about Jay White and Juice Robinson. And what happens is that he gets beat up by Jay and Juice. And what happens is this Sunday, the Blackjack Battle Royal, he will focus on the International Championship. And Juice Robinson and Jay White basically beat him down. Jay White then hits Ricky Starks with the chair. And honestly, Jay White then goes to Ricky Starks and literally just screams at him, "You'd think you're done with Bullet Club Gold? You are sadly mistaken." So it looks like this feud is going to be continuing on. So you would honestly expect that there would be a match at Double or Nothing, a rematch between these two men, but that's not going to be the case. Both men are going to be involved in the 20-man Blackjack Battle Royale for the International Championship, which honestly I like but don't like. I like it because, again, 8 matches is enough on a pay-per-view card. Usually when it comes to AEW pay-per-views, Tony Khan tends to overbook the amount of matches that there are on a pay-per-view, but 8 matches is enough. But on the negative side, you do have, Ricky Starks and Jay White, you would expect them to wrestle at the pay-per-view, but instead they wrestled on Dynamite last week. That kind of made no sense in my opinion. You would honestly expect them to wrestle at the pay-per-view, but it looks like they're not going to be wrestling at the pay-per-view. They're going to be wrestling in the Battle Royal at the pay-per-view. So that's going to be the case for those two. But honestly, man, Jay White winning the International Championship sounds like a good idea to me. Granted, him winning via DQ last week was not really a good idea. And him winning a championship via a Battle Royal doesn't seem really like the right fit, but honestly, if you really want to solidify Jay White and you really want to elevate Jay White higher up on the card, starting off with the International Championship is not really a bad idea to begin with. All right, we then get a backstage promo with Jungle Boy. Of course, he's going to be one of 4 men that are going to be competing for the AEW World Championship at Double or Nothing in the 4 Pillars main event. Jungle Boy talks about how he used to drive down Las Vegas to wrestle with his buddies, and he traveled here during the most difficult time of his life, which was, I believe, back in 2019 when AEW first launched. He traveled during the most difficult time of his life, and last year he drove with Christian Cage and had no idea that his life would be turned upside down. One thing is always the same, though, is that the feeling when he stands in that ring, it gives him a purpose, and it led him to be the man that he wanted to be today. On Monday morning, when it comes to driving back home, he will do it as the AEW World Champion. After that, we got a segment with FTR, who are the current AEW World Tag Team Champions. And, of course, they cut this promo, this basically hilarious promo, that being mostly Dax, but Cash really started the promo, about Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. You guys know my thoughts on the idea of FTR wrestling Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal for the tag team titles at Double or Nothing. Honestly, I don't think it's a good idea. I think it's a dumb idea in my opinion. But hopefully, after Double or Nothing, FTR can literally get back on the right track, because right now, them feuding with Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal, I don't know, man. It ain't really doing it for me, man. Every time when Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal, and I like these two guys, I think they're great, but every time when they, are near like a championship, like honestly, like there are so many other guys that could definitely use the shot on television. You don't really need the need of Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. You know what I'm saying? But to spice things up for this match, we do have Mark Briscoe, I believe, as the special guest referee for Double or Nothing. So that is a positive, man. Everywhere, Mark Briscoe goes, I'll go. But nonetheless, I'm not really that excited for this match. But Cash begins on the microphone. He says, so Jeff, Jarrett, and Jay Lethal, it would be easy that, he basically calls him a corny and talks about how he is trash. But the bottom line is every step of the way, they know what they're going to do because he is smart. He is good because he is lucky. Sunday at Double or Nothing, his luck runs out. Then Dax gets the microphone and says, Jeff broke 1 million guitars and still remains irrelevant. If he thinks for 1 second that the head of the tag team division are a couple of rejects from TNA, that was the funniest shit I've ever heard. Nah. He better make sure that he calls the Queen of the Mountain and make sure that he has job security, wink, wink. And he's not talking about his wife, Karen Jarrett, or I believe he said his bitch of a wife, Karen Jarrett. I'm talking about Dixie Carter. Dax Howard, you're a savage. Mark Briscoe then comes out, and then Cash says he knows he is mad, but listen, don't let Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal make him look stupid. Last year, they went to hell and back against him and his brother. Of course, he's talking about the trilogy that they had on the Ring of Honor pay-per-views with the Briscoes and FTR. This year, they will do it for him. Mark asks him about the pile driver. Of course, last week, Dax Howard, by accident, pile-drived Mark Briscoe and talks about how he didn't mean to pile-drive him, but then he asks him to shake his hand. Mark Briscoe is actually super pissed off, and he actually, instead of shaking the hand of Dax Howard, he slaps the face of Dax Harwood. After that, Mark leaves. He pushes Karen. He pushes Sanjay. He slaps the shit out of Jeff Jarrett walking up the ramp, and he goes to Jay Lethal and says that he loves him, but he's getting tired of this bullshit. And they actually centered that part when Mark Briscoe told that to Jay Lethal. Overall, not a bad segment. Nonetheless, I like the promo that Dax cut, basically mentioning TNA and Dixie Carter. That was funny to me. But again, is this a match that I'm looking forward to for Double or Nothing with FTR defending their tag team titles against Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal? Absolutely not. I think it's a dumb idea, to be honest with you. I feel like there's so many better tag teams that FTR can face that we do not need Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal to challenge FTR. But that is what we're going to be getting at Double or Nothing. And hopefully after Double or Nothing, it spews the end of FTR and Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. After that, we got Sammy Guevara in a backstage interview. Talks about how MJF had a message for him. Talks about if he still wanted to lay down for him because all the money is still over there. And Sammy says that, wow, it's a lot of money, but hell no. I ain't gonna lie down for him. You can't buy everything, and he ain't for sale. His whole life, people have been trying to buy him, and he told all his old bosses that you can shove that offer up your ass because he lives in the real world. He is the man who will be taking the AEW World Championship from him. I'm going to be honest, man. Out of all the people that, out of all the people that is least likely to win, Sammy Guevara is not going to win this match whatsoever. I like Sammy Guevara as a wrestler. He's great. He's a great talent, but I don't think he's up that level yet. Definitely, look, all the four pillars were elevated throughout the entirety of AEW. But again, MJF, out of all the four pillars, MJF is all the way up here, and the rest of the pillars are like right here. Darby Allin is the closest to MJF at the end of the day. He is the closest to MJF. Jungle Boy is almost at Darby's level, but he needs to get a little bit of work, and Sammy Guevara is all the way down here. That is nothing personal against Sammy Guevara, but again, he's not at that level yet. But nonetheless, he's still going to have a great showing. I like Sammy Guevara, but again, he's not going to win the championship. Out of all the guys that are going to get pinned, let's be real here. Sammy Guevara most likely is going to be the guy to take the pinfall at Double or Nothing. You're gonna. I talked about this, I believe, a couple of weeks ago, but I would book the match like this because people need to realize that there can be a greater story to be told with Darby Allin and MJF. You could have a situation in which Darby Allin literally has the win right there, and he goes for a coffin drop, but then MJF immediately snatches and steals the victory from him. And then from then on, you can build to a one-on-one program between Darby Allin and MJF. I feel like there's money made for a MJF and Darby Allin program because, of course, Sting is partnered with Darby Allin, and since AEW is coming to Wembley, a lot of people are saying, hey, this could possibly be Sting's last match. That is just a rumor right now, but there can be a lot of different scenarios. You can implement Sting with the whole Darby Allin and MJF feud. Maybe have MJF wrestle Sting first and then Darby Allin. I don't know. I'm just thinking ahead with things. But Darby Allin, keep an eye out for Darby Allin. There's a lot of guys that can beat MJF for the World Championship. Not now. I mean, let's be real here. MJF is going to be holding on to that championship basically throughout the rest of the year. He's not losing that championship anytime soon. But if you think about it, again, the list of potential challengers that could take the title away from MJF, it's a large amount. Maybe not a large amount, but there's a lot of men there. I mean, there's Adam Cole. AEW is building up Adam Cole to be, the next big babyface. You got Darby Allin, who is literally going to be white hot coming into this match, and hopefully his momentum maintains as we head towards later in the year. We got Ricky Starks, who right now is feuding with Jay White, which some people are for, some people are not for, but overall, I mean, there's a lot of possibilities there. I even heard a thought of Eddie Kingston could possibly beat MJF at Grand Slam. Honestly, these scenarios, there's a lot of different scenarios for MJF and the potential feuds he can be entering in. And honestly, that's what I like about this title run. Everybody is saying that MJF's title run has been stale and, he's not defending his championships all the time. I mean, he's a heel. He blatantly stated, I'm not going to be defending my championships constantly. He's a heel for a reason, guys. Relax. And not only that, his title run has been very good in my opinion. But those are my thoughts on the whole four pillars thing. I'll give you guys my thoughts later on as we head towards the predictions for Double or Nothing. We got the House of Black versus AR Fox, Blake Christian, and Grand Metalik. I still call him Grand Metalik in the Open House Rules match for the AEW Trios Championship. So basically, all the lights are kind of dimmed down. It has this really cool aesthetic. I'm digging it. It gives something for the House of Black to do. And, they are the current Trios champions, but let's be real here. Ever since they won the Trios titles, they really weren't doing a lot. And hopefully now with this whole open house match, they can definitely come out on their own and really just kind of create a story element to them that really hasn't been seen before in a lot of wrestlers nowadays. So honestly, I'm definitely for it. And the House of Black, what they're doing with this open house rules match, I think is a good idea. But we had AR Fox, Blake Christian, and Grand Metalik. All these three men, I believe, have been competing on Ring of Honor television. I have been watching Ring of Honor for weeks, so correct me if I'm wrong. I believe yesterday's Ring of Honor show had like 18 matches on almost a damn near 3-hour show. I mean, if you want to talk about a reason why I stopped covering Ring of Honor, that is the reason right there. But nothing against the talent there. It's just, again, it's match after match after match after match after match. A lot of people, the hardcores of hardcores are going to watch that. But, when it comes to covering a show like Ring of Honor, weekly, and you got a scenario, you got a damn near 3-hour show that only has like fucking 18 matches, nobody's going to watch that. At that point, you're entering dark territory. I'm sorry. Like, I will only watch Ring of Honor for their pay-per-views at this point because their pay-per-views actually deliver. But, 18 matches on a 3-hour show. Number one, Ring of Honor should not even be 3 hours. A Ring of Honor should be a 1-hour show at the end of the day. The fact that it's 3 hours is ridiculous. That's just overkill. But, whatever. Not only, this was a good match, though. I enjoyed it. We get a jumping knee by Buddy Matthews, taking him to the outside. We get a springboard by Grand Metalik. We then get a Hurricane Rana taking Buddy to the outside, but then Malachi comes in and he takes out Grand Metalik. I still call him Grand Metalik, bro. AR Fox goes for the back elbow, but then Brody King is the legal man. He takes everybody out. We then get a corkscrew kick by Blake Christian. Blake Christian is fucking awesome. I've seen him live twice at GCW shows. Blake Christian, Mr. Allheart, he's badass. He takes everybody out. We get a corkscrew kick by Blake Christian. Brody catches him with one arm and plants him down. We get a cover and a near fall, but then Malachi Black tags in. We then get a bunch of elbow strikes by Blake Christian, but then he goes for the leg sweep, that being Malachi Black. At this point, both men are on the apron, but then we get a knee strike by Malachi. Malachi ends up going for a German suplex, but then Black lands on his feet. Metalik tags in, but then we get a springboard by Metalik, but then he lands on a knee strike. After that, Metalik walks the ropes, and he hits a dropkick on both Malachi Black and Buddy Matthews. We get a double somersault and moonsault by Blake Christian and Metalik on the outside. That was a badass spot. AR Fox sees Brody. Basically, he was going to go for a diving spot over the top rope onto the outside, but then Brody King was in the ring. He runs into a chop by Brody King, but then he runs the ropes. Metalik and Blake Christian grabs the boot, but then after that, we get a drop kick by AR Fox taking Brody to the outside. After that, AR Fox hits the springboard implosion senton on everybody, which is amazing. AR Fox is out of this world. He takes Buddy into the ring. He goes for the 450 splash, but he rolls through and lands on his feet. Buddy then misses the lariat, but then Buddy goes for the curb stomp, and then he applies the inverted Texas cloverleaf on AR Fox. Of course, in a open house rules match, there are no rope breaks in this match. Metalik comes in, but then Malachi comes in and applies a knee bar, and this visual aesthetic I liked. He comes in and applies a knee bar. Blake Christian comes in and he tries to hit a thrust kick on Buddy Matthews, but then Brody comes in and applies a choke on Blake Christian, which leads to AR Fox to tap out and the House of Black get the win and retain the AEW World Trios Championships. Honestly, that finish right there was pure badass. Again, I'm loving what they were doing with the House of Black. It gives them something to do. And in my opinion, I feel like the open house rules match is starting to get them more over as heels. So honestly, congrats on the House of Black. I think they're doing great things right now. So the House of Black retain the AEW Trios Championships. We then get a video package of the Blackpool Combat Club versus the Elite Anarchy in the arena match at Double or Nothing. It is going to be a crazy, crazy, crazy match. If there was any indication of what you saw last year at Anarchy in the arena, and trust me, there was a lot of crazy shit that happened at Anarchy in the arena last year. I mean, you had Eddie Kingston all bloodied up, looking like a freaking zombie, coming out with a gas tank to the ring, trying to, who was it, burn Chris Jericho. Like, he's literally like pouring gasoline all over Chris Jericho, like trying to murder this man. crazy shit. And honestly, I think Anarchy in the Arena is going to be even crazier this year. That is not me just like shilling y'all with this match. Nah, I feel like that's going to be the absolute truth. After that, we got the Blackpool Combat Club backstage. Danielson says it's going to be a big week. They have two objectives. Claudio and Yuta win the ROH tag team titles and take wrestling to the next level. And the second objective is Anarchy in the Arena when they end the Elite. Moxley says that the Elite are the best in the world. Oh, wink, wink. The best in the world, huh? His hand doesn't shake, and he says that because that's the standard that they set for themselves, and they stand in this ring. There's nobody better at it than them, and this is the major leagues, and at this level, only one thing matters. Are you willing to stand in the ring of fire and deliver when it counts? This Sunday is going to count, and the Blackpool Combat Club will deliver. Anarchy in the Arena. They will stand calm and ready to take aim and fire, and we'll see the difference between professionals and amateurs, which is a common term that is used by now by the Blackpool Combat Club. I think it's safe to say, man, turning the Blackpool Combat Club heel was probably the best thing for that group, because when Regal left, a lot of people were speculating, oh my God, is this the end of the Blackpool Combat Club? They were fine as baby faces, but I feel like when it came to their babyface run, the whole ridiculously long feud with the Jericho Appreciation Society kind of watered them down a little bit. And I felt like with them turning heel, it gave a new life in the Blackpool Combat Club. And what they're doing now with the Elite is honestly fantastic television. I'm flattered, and I'm honestly, I'm just happy with what we are seeing when it comes to this whole feud. And it's going to be insane. Where does Don Callis play a role when it comes to this whole thing? Where does Konosuke Takeshita play a role? I mean, could it be a scenario in which Konosuke Takeshita joins the Blackpool Combat Club? We don't know, but this is not going to be the last encounter between the Blackpool Combat Club, because I predict that, of course, after Anarchy in the Arena, we are going to be getting Blood and Guts, and Blood and Guts is a 5-on-5 match. My prediction is we have Konosuke Takeshita join the Blackpool Combat Club, turn heel at Double or Nothing, which leads to the Blackpool Combat Club to win. And then we have Kota Ibushi join the Elite, and you have it right there, and the Golden Lovers are back. But that is just my prediction, but I'll talk more about that on my Double or Nothing predictions. After that, we get a segment with the AEW World Champion MJF Maxwell Jacob Friedman before he even made his entrance. This man went to the announce table, drank Tony Schiavone's drink and splashed it in his face. Typical MJF. It's funny, says MJF. They call this place Sin City, but he has a feeling that they have to change the name to Virgin Vegas, which is a very weird scenario, because there was always a common terminology in Las Vegas called whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, but MJF apparently calls it Virgin Vegas. A lot of people want to know about how the card is stacked against him. The cards are stacked against him, I should say. He feels that Sammy wants to shove his tongue down his life socket. Darby Allin, of course, he talks about Darby Allin climbing Mount Everest with his shoes untied, and then Jungle Boy, of course, can't bore himself to death. Unlike all of us low-life poors, he is intelligent, and he is fully aware how important this match is. The four of them. Lots of people want to throw the term homegrown. They have been here since day one. They didn't have a cheat code being on national television. 4 years ago, we did not know who these guys were. 4 years later, they are the best. They aren't just a part of AEW. They are AEW. However, that doesn't, that to be honest, he's bored around here and he's sick of this place. He's sick of the lack of competition, the lack of complacency, and he's sick of the new fans not showing the respect that he deserves. Jesus Christ, my notes are shit. And TK knows that. He also knows that Daddy's contract is coming up. Facts are facts. It's a little, cute little thing. And TK and all of us are hitting the panic button because we want somebody to take the Triple B away from him. He may take his ball and go home because this is his ball. He earned this ball. He ran with it faster than anybody can keep up with it. And much like the rest of the roster, none of them are on the level of the devil. I said devil. Darby Allin then comes in. MJF gets pissed. And Darby says he's glad he came here, with his, cute little sticks and stuff. You got something to say to his face? Max then, he talks about how he lost a lot in his life. He never lost his life. He knew who he was back in 2011. He graduated high school and people told him he didn't expect much in life. And it got him working at the 99-cent store. He started living in his car and he always talked to himself in his car, and he doesn't deserve to leave this car, and this company is going to give him something. And he stated that, he stayed in this car and he told himself he's not going to leave this car until he becomes a professional wrestler. He talks about how this company gives him something and it lets him live the way he wants to live. No other company will do the things AEW does for him. You can't create him. They basically, he talks about how all the things AEW has done for him, like, being with Tony Hawk, all that stuff. He wants to become the face of AEW, and to do that, he needs to be a world champion. This Sunday, he is taking his title, and he will do it with a headlock takeover. After that, MJF immediately hits a low blow on Darby Allin, and Sammy Guevara comes out, and MJF runs away. MJF is on the ramp, and Jack Perry comes out, and he proceeds to take out MJF and hold up the AEW World Championship. And literally, the amount of people that shit on that ending were insane, man. You had a lot of people saying, oh my God, this guy is so small, like the title is bigger than Jungle Boy. Like, bro, get a life, for God's sakes. Like, these people are ridiculous. It's funny how these people talk about how this show ain't selling a lot of tickets. And it's true. It's very much true. And that is largely a part of the fact that AEW is just not hot anymore. It really isn't. But let's be honest with ourselves. A lot of people are pointing the blame at these four guys just because of the fact that, they can't draw, blah, blah, blah. That discussion is absolutely ridiculous. We all know a guy like Sammy Guevara, Jungle Boy, and Darby Allin are not at the level yet of MJF. But this match is just going to only further elevate them more. After this match is over, trust me, after this match is over, nobody is going to be talking. Everybody is going to be remaining silent because, honestly, I don't want to make this comparison because I think it's a little bit dumb, but I'm going to anyway. This is going to be their Christopher Daniels versus AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe match. This is going to be their Unbreakable 2005 main event. That's what it's going to be, and this is going to be a freaking fantastic match from top to bottom. Okay? The fact that people are, complaining about, oh, these guys are small, blah, blah, blah. These are the same people that say, oh, AEW should stop relying on ex-WWE guys and focus on homegrown talent. Well, you got that homegrown talent and you are complaining. So, honestly, which one is it? Wrestling fans are the worst. And, honestly, if there is anything that I can say about this is wrestling fans hate wrestling at the end of the day. They just do. But those fans are ridiculous. This match is going to tear the fucking house down. We then get a video package of Wardlow versus Christian Cage for the TNT Championship in the ladder match. After that, we got Taya Valkyrie versus Lady Frost. Lady Frost, again, has been wrestling on Ring of Honor. She's actually one of the very few women that I've actually been really much enjoying throughout the time I was actually watching Ring of Honor. Lady Frost is great, man. A lot of the moves that she does, out of this world. Really good. I think you guys should keep an eye on Lady Frost. We get a takedown by Taya. We get a cover into near fall. We then get the head scissors by Lady Frost, but then Taya goes for the sliding lariat. We then get a cover into near fall, but then we get a high kick by Lady Frost in the corner. And then she goes for the cartwheel, but then lands into a clothesline by Taya. We then get a cover into near fall, but then Jade Cargill comes out, and then once we're back from break, we get a kick by Frost, but then we get a cartwheel cannonball, it's what it looked like, in the corner by Lady Frost. Lady Frost then goes to the top, and then she goes for the spinning tornado. After that, Taya capitalizes and hits the spear. Both women exchange shots, but then Taya plants her down. We then get a cover into near fall, but then Taya stomps Frost down to the mat face first. After that, we get a high kick by Frost, but then Taya catches her and hits a backbreaker. After that, she hits a knee strike, but then she goes for the Road to Valhalla, which is her finishing move. And, of course, the main story when it comes to this whole feud between Jade and Taya Valkyrie is their finishing move. Jade's move, the Jaded, is basically exactly the same move as the Road to Valhalla with Taya Valkyrie. And we get a cover, and Taya Valkyrie wins the match. I like Taya Valkyrie. I actually really want her to beat Jade Cargill for the TBS Championship at Double or Nothing. Do I think that will happen? Honestly, No, because I mean AEW is AEW, and honestly, this is I don't care if people call me out for this, but this is going to be a little bit of a hot take, but I am not really liking what AEW is doing with Jade Cargill. I mean, Jade Cargill has won the TBS championship in early January of last year. In January of 2022, I was there. I was in the building when she won the TBS championship. I can't remember a single match with Jade Cargill that I completely remember. I can't remember any one of her matches. I feel like there is no direction whatsoever regarding Jade Cargill, and that is the biggest problem that AEW has, especially with her. Jade Cargill is marketable. If you do not think she is marketable, then something is wrong with you. She clearly is marketable. She's making all these mainstream appearances, all that, and she definitely worked her ass off. And this is nothing against Jade Cargill. I think Jade Cargill is great, and really the booking of Jade Cargill is not her fault. It's really the creative. Where's the direction with Jade Cargill? Like, who is going to be beating Jade Cargill? Is it going to be Taya Valkyrie? I want it to be, but they need to create that interest that really wants me to be invested in a feud that Jade Cargill is in, because right now I'm not really that invested in anything that Jade Cargill is doing. And unfortunately, that affects Taya Valkyrie as well, and I like Taya Valkyrie. Do I think Taya Valkyrie will win? No. Do I want her to win? Yes. But again, AEW has to make the viewer care, and I feel like when it comes to Jade Cargill, they're not really making the viewer care enough, if that makes any sense. I'm a big Jade Cargill fan, but I'm not really that big of a fan of what she is doing creatively right now. But that is just me. AEW, or that being Tony Khan, the president, CEO, head of creative, how many freaking titles does this man have, has the announcement about the premiere location of Collision. This was a big story happening in AEW, and it looks like AEW Collision will be taking place at the United Center. Yes, the United Center for the premiere date, Saturday, June 17th. Honestly, I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys. My heart was beating because I was afraid he was going to announce Daly's Place, and if Tony Khan had announced Daly's Place for the premiere date of Collision, the backlash, not only in the MGM Grand, but the backlash on social media would have been absolutely insane. Because, again, I feel like it was a scenario in which AEW had their plan in place to bring in CM Punk, and their plans got fucked up because of some bullshit drama. That is exactly what happened the week prior, and all the Ace stuff, nonsense, ridiculous, just absolutely ridiculous. But I think it's safe to say we can put all those bullshit reports to bed and basically just say that CM Punk is on his way back to AEW. That's clearly what it looks like it's going to be. There's no way that AEW is booking the United Center for the premiere episode of Collision on TNT and not have CM Punk on the show. I think they're going to be doing a scenario in which they don't promote CM Punk and he's going to show up unannounced, kind of similar to what he did for the First Dance. Now, the tickets are moving fast as we speak right now when it comes to the United Center show. Is it a sellout? No, not yet. It's not a sellout, but I assume it is going to be a sellout. But, I mean, if you think about it, the first few weeks for Collision, the ticket sales are not good. So I feel like it'd be much smarter. If tickets are moving slow for United Center, then they're going to have to announce CM Punk in advance because, again, for the rest of the shows in Canada, and even Prudential Center, which I already got my ticket on, the ticket sales are not moving that fast. And for United Center, they are moving quickly. It's still not a sellout yet, but again, it's going to be very interesting to see what they do. But again, CM Punk is definitely going to be on his way back. And this is my thing on CM Punk, man. A lot of people do not like CM Punk, especially after Brawl Out. A lot of people are kind of, how do I say it, on the anti-CM Punk bandwagon. Some people were anti-CM Punk then and then kind of missed CM Punk and now immediately like CM Punk. This is my stance on it. Everybody, and I talked about this repeatedly on this show, and it's on record. The Brawl Out incident was everybody's fault. It really was. It was everybody's fault. And honestly, I was one of those people that wanted CM Punk back. Because at the end of the day, CM Punk, when it comes to storylines in AEW, he makes things better. I mean, like literally, AEW had their best feud with CM Punk and MJF. And a large portion of that had to do with the talent that CM Punk has and, of course, the talent that MJF has. CM Punk creatively makes AEW better. Now, when it comes to the internal structure of AEW, when it comes to the backstage element of AEW, we have absolutely no idea what the hell is going to be happening. If anything, there could be another blow up and the relationship between CM Punk and AEW could dwindle all over again. We have absolutely no idea. Now, what's interesting is that there was a report by Fightful that kind of gave us an update on the whole situation. And he stated basically that, yes, they did send legal letters to CM Punk because originally Raj Giri from Wrestling Inc. did state that they did send legal letters to Punk. And you had a lot of just wrestling media companies just spin it in a way that they were suing CM Punk, which is not the case. So this is the latest on CM Punk and AEW. CM Punk, and this is from Fightful Select, CM Punk and AEW have remained in contact over the last week. Regarding rumors that Punk was served with legal papers, Fightful has been told that some documents were sent to Punk to be signed over the last week, and they haven't been given any indication that they were legal threats, but they were told that they covered about speaking about certain subject, disparagement clauses, and ensuring that he appears at scheduled AEW television dates, largely to protect AEW in several situations. From the Punk side of things, we heard that they have been productive conversations over the last week, though we weren't provided a lot of context to that. People close to Punk believe that he will be at the first Collision on June 17th. So Punk was sent legal letters, and it looks like these legal letters are, in a way, NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, basically having him to sign, basically stating, hey, you can't do this to embarrass us. You know, you can't sign, you know, you are going to sign this document basically saying that, hey, you are not going to embarrass us again. And that is the right decision to make, because at this point, when it comes to CM Punk, this man is completely unhinged and unpredictable when it comes to media scrums. Literally, at this point, you shouldn't really bring this guy in the media scrums anymore. But when it comes to CM Punk, the biggest question that I have is, where, you know, how is the talent going to react to this? You know, how is the talent going to be reacting to this? This is very, very, very interesting. And honestly, you know, we're going to see how the talent reacts, and hopefully there is no blow up between all the people involved. Now, it looks like they are going to be splitting the roster. Now, it's not official, but from what it looks like with the launch of Collision and with the people that they promoted, it looks like they are going to be splitting the roster, and CM Punk is solely going to be a part of Collision. Now, I went on record and stated that AEW doing a roster split can be beneficial to them, but the reason why they are doing this is completely the wrong reason to do it, because they're basically splitting the roster because you have some talent that have problems with one another, and they just want to separate everybody so everybody can be in their own little world, kind of like with the Elite and CM Punk, which honestly sets a bad precedent at the end of the day. Now, when it comes to the whole Ace Steel situation, Ace Steel looks like he's on his way back, and I actually did not know this. I had a friend on a Twitter space actually tell me this. Ace Steel is actually behind a lot of the stuff that CM Punk did in AEW, so that is probably the main reason as to why he is back. And if that is the case, I would understand, but still, them hiring back Ace Steel is kind of a negative look on the company because of the fact that, again, this is a guy that assaulted two of the executive vice presidents of the company. He threw a chair on one of them, and he bit Kenny Omega's arm. You know, you can't do shit like that, and it kind of sets an example of, hey, you can get away with this shit and get rehired, and that's what it looks like it happened with Ace Steel. But nonetheless, I'm excited with CM Punk coming back. I hope, you know, honestly, no issues happen, and hopefully CM Punk has learned his lesson when it comes to this whole situation, because this whole situation regarding Brawl Out in these past couple of months have been nothing but an absolute train wreck for AEW, and hopefully they can get their shit back together with CM Punk coming back. So those are my thoughts on CM Punk, and yeah. All right, let's continue on with the Dynamite review. Jesus Christ, we're like damn near 50 minutes into this review, and I haven't even discussed the Chris Jericho contract signing with Adam Cole. So we have the Adam Cole and Chris Jericho contract signing. Of course, everybody, that being, Tony Schiavone in the ring, he's saying that everybody agreed to no physicality. Emotions are running very, very high, and by signing this contract, AEW is not responsible for what will happen. It is personal, it's a personal contract between Chris Jericho and Adam Cole. And Adam Cole immediately signs the contract. Adam Cole cuts a promo and says, for weeks he wondered why he did what he did. He couldn't sleep, eat, or process why it was a good idea of him being handcuffed and watching Britt Baker getting beaten over and over and over again. He directed traffic, again and again and again. And maybe it's because he is a scumbag. Maybe it's because he is a disgusting human being, and that's why he did it, though. He thinks he is invisible, and he thinks it's because he is Chris Jericho. And, he should be thankful to have him, because we will find out how invincible he really is. AEW, should be thankful that this is an unsanctioned match, because the blood isn't on their hands, it's on him, that being Adam Cole, and that's the way he likes it. And he hopes he knows he's taken all the power inside of him to beat him within an inch of his life right here, right now. Instead, he explains what happens. We're going to find out that if he can walk, because he will break his legs. He will shatter his jaw, and they're going to find out if he can write, because he will break his hands. If so, if he doesn't hurry up, sign the paper, bitch. That is exactly what Adam Cole told Chris Jericho, to sign the paper, bitch. Jericho then says he ain't no bitch. He isn't from Las Vegas. Jericho then signs the contract, but then before he puts it from pen to paper, he says before he signs that, the injury that Britt Baker suffered might have affected his memory. He remembers exactly how it happened, and he rolls the clip. What kind of a man, has his girl get the shit kicked, the crap kicked out of her? She got destroyed with a kendo stick, and he calls Adam Cole a coward. On Sunday, he wants an unsanctioned, no-rules match, and he will knock his damn teeth down his throat. He can't beat the Ocho. He knows he can't beat the Ocho, and he wants to end him. And then Jericho signs the contract, and he says he won't end him because he got outsmarted. There's 5 of them and 2 of him. And Adam Cole says he is right. He made a little phone call to someone that lives in Las Vegas, and he idolized him growing up. He is homicidal, suicidal, genocidal, and it's Sabu. Sabu comes out, he throws a chair at Matt Menard, and all hell breaks loose. And Sabu looks like he's going to be the special enforcer for Adam Cole versus Chris Jericho at Double or Nothing, which, honestly, I like the idea that Sabu is in AEW, but Jesus Christ, that is the most random special enforcer you could have for a match of the caliber of Chris Jericho and Adam Cole. We'll see how it plays out. I mean, I honestly, I like Sabu. I think he's great, but me thinking about it more, I mean, it's just kind of the most random special enforcer you could have, because he is nobody that's... He's somebody that's, he's kind of connected with Chris Jericho because they both wrestled in ECW. Sabu wrestled for ECW longer than Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho kind of had like a stint in ECW, but still, it was kind of like at random. They kind of like threw Sabu into this role, but hey, man, it is what it is. But do I think it's a great idea? I don't know. Sabu, I believe, has a history of a lot of health problems, especially in recent years. But hopefully things will play out with Sabu and AEW. But I don't know. I just think it's a little random. I'll admit I popped and marked out for Sabu when he came out. But then later on, when I started thinking about it more and more and more, I was just kind of like, wait, this kind of makes no sense because he has nothing to do with this whole match. So really, why are you bringing him out? It was funny because you had a lot of people say, haha, they didn't even bring Bobby Fish, which is the funniest shit ever. But it is what it is. Sabu is going to be the special enforcer for the Chris Jericho and Adam Cole match at Double or Nothing. We got Daniel Garcia versus Rodrick Strong. I'm not really going to go through a lot about in this match, but there's a lot of technical wrestling in this match. We get a side headlock takeover by Strong. We get repeated chops by Daniel Garcia and then by Strong, but then we get a bunch of chop exchanges by both men. Garcia's in control, but then he goes for a boot to the jaw, and he hits a backbreaker. We get a cover and near fall. Once we're back from break, Garcia faceplants Strong with a curve stomp. Later on in the match, Garcia flattens Rodrick Strong down to the mat. Strong picks up Garcia. Garcia rolls through and applies the Dragon Tamer. Strong pushes him off, and then he picks him up and hits the Gutbuster. And then he hits the end of the Heartache, and we get a cover, and Rodrick Strong ends up getting the win. So it was that. Honestly, it was a match I didn't really care about. I like Rodrick Strong. I like Daniel Garcia, but let's be honest with ourselves. I mean, I wasn't really that invested at this point. We then get the main event. We had the Lucha Brothers facing off the Blackpool Combat Club's Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta for the ROH Tag Team Championships. Of course, this is a result of a couple of weeks ago when Claudio won the what was it? It was that challenge match in which whoever won, their respective match got to challenge the other guy's title. I forgot what it was called. Both fight it out. It was a great match nonetheless. I actually thought for a second that Claudio and Wheeler were going to get the win, but apparently that wasn't the case. We had the Young Bucks actually cause Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta the Tag Team Championships. Both fight it out. We get a double thrust kick by the Lucha Brothers on Claudio. The Lucha Brothers take out the Blackpool Combat Club on the outside. We then get a crossbody by Penta off the top, but then Phoenix goes up. Then he jumps the ropes. He takes out Claudio and Wheeler. Penta then drives Yuta down, and then we get a cover into near fall. And then we get a drop kick by Phoenix, taking Claudio to the outside. At this point, Phoenix is on the top, but then we get an uppercut by Claudio. And then he hits a lariat on Penta. After that, Claudio is the legal man. We then get a sling blade by Penta, but then we get a running kick by Penta on the top rope. We then get a springboard by Phoenix, but then he lands onto an uppercut by Claudio. Later on, the Blackpool Combat Club continues to be in control. Yuta goes for a boot on Penta, who isn't the legal man. Phoenix goes for a backdrop, but then Claudio tags in. We get a takedown by Claudio, but then he goes for the swing on Phoenix, but then Yuta goes for the drop kick. We then get a cover by Claudio into near fall, but then Claudio tries to go for the Ricola bomb, but then Phoenix counters. We then get a crossbody by Penta, but then we get a kick by Yuta, or on Yuta, I should say. Penta goes for the Hurricane Rana, and then he goes for the double knees onto the back of Wheeler Yuta. And then we get a cover into near fall, but then Penta targets the arm of Wheeler Yuta. After that, Claudio goes for the boot, and then Penta goes for the Enziguri, and then he goes for the Enziguri on Yuta. Phoenix tags in. Phoenix goes for the spinning kick, and then he hits a right hand on Yuta. We then get the double thrust kick. After that, Claudio picks up Phoenix, but then we get a thrust kick by Phoenix dropping Penta, which leads to Penta to hit the Canadian Destroyer. Phoenix ends up hitting a pile driver. We get a cover into near fall, but then Penta is on the top. Claudio pushes him, and then we get a roll-up by Yuta. After that, Yuta takes out Phoenix. Alex Abrahantes manages to distract the referee, and then the Bucks come out to the outside and drag Claudio out. And then the Lucha Bros go for the Fear Factor, and we get a cover, and the Lucha Brothers retain the ROH Tag Team Championship. So that was that. Sorry I rushed a little bit. I'm literally damn near going to an hour in this whole review, but it is what it is because I want to get straight to the Double or Nothing predictions. But overall thoughts on this match, this wasn't a bad match whatsoever. The Lucha Brothers retain the ROH Tag Team titles. After that, Jon Moxley comes out, but the Bucks are in the crowd. Moxley gets the microphone and he says, "Smile while you still can. You go back to your room, go back to your family when you can, because all their weak-ass little friends are going to get plastered. Anarchy in the arena will be the most wildest match in AEW history, and if you think the BCC has gone too far, trust me, you ain't seen nothing yet." And the show ends. So, yeah, that was Dynamite. Overall thoughts on the Dynamite show. This wasn't a bad show whatsoever. Was it a good show in which it was a good go-home show? No. It wasn't really the best go-home show, to be quite honest with you. But it wasn't a bad show nonetheless. The matches that we saw were great. But nothing really intriguing, of course, to really get you excited for Double or Nothing. I'm still very excited for Double or Nothing, but really this Dynamite show didn't really do a lot to really get me that excited. Nothing really happened on this show, to be quite honest with you, but it is what it is. Double or Nothing is going to be a good show regardless at the end of the day, but overall, Dynamite was a fine show. It was a pretty good show, but not really a good enough show to be a good go-home show, in my opinion. But that was my AEW Dynamite review from May 24th, 2023. We are now quickly going to be discussing my predictions for AEW's Double or Nothing. Of course, Double or Nothing is going to be taking place this Sunday at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. The tickets for this show haven't been really selling very well for this show, which is very surprising because usually you would think AEW would sell a lot of tickets for their shows, and I believe the capacity for the T-Mobile Arena for this show in particular is roughly around the 9,000 range, and so far they have roughly around, they had at the time at least, I'm not sure now, at the time they had like roughly around 6,000 tickets sold out of 9,000, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, that is insane. I mean, it's safe to say AEW is not hot as it was 2 years ago, but, you know, for a show like Double or Nothing, you would expect the show to be like not only an instant sellout, but just sell a lot of tickets. And for this show, it did not sell a lot of tickets, surprisingly, which is very weird. I actually thought that the build for this show was much better than Revolution's, and Revolution didn't even sell out either. But I don't know, man. You know, the ticket sale, I mean, I feel like AEW should really start venturing outside of Las Vegas for Double or Nothing, to be quite honest with you. Because, I mean, Vegas, a lot of people are saying Vegas is a very expensive area to go. I can't experience that. Honestly, I would assume yes, it is. But, I mean, we said the same thing last year, and AEW immediately sold out the show. You know, so I don't know what that tells you, but AEW ain't really as hot as it was 2 years ago. But that is not to say that the card is going to be bad, because I think the card is very good. So we're going to be talking about Double or Nothing. We have 8 matches on the card for this show, and honestly, the card is very stacked. I'm very much going to enjoy this show for what it is. In our first match of the evening, we got Jade Cargill versus Taya Valkyrie for the TBS Championship. Overall, a lot of the stuff that was going on between Jade Cargill and Taya Valkyrie was mostly happening, I believe, on Rampage. But some of the stuff was happening on Dynamite as well. Of course, on this show, we had Lady Frost wrestling Taya Valkyrie, and Taya Valkyrie ended up getting the win. But the main story coming into this match is, of course, the finishing moves. Of course, Jade has the Jaded. Taya Valkyrie has the Road to Valhalla, which is basically the Jaded, but Taya Valkyrie has used that move longer. You got fucking Mark Sterling literally there and saying, you can't use this move, blah, blah, blah. Could this be a scenario in which Jade Cargill ends up losing the TBS Championship? I have no idea. I talked about this on my Dynamite review on this show. Honestly, I want it to happen, but knowing AEW, I don't think they're going to have Jade Cargill drop it to Taya Valkyrie, even though I think it'd be a good idea to do it, and it'd create that unpredictability nature. Honestly, I don't think they're going to be doing it, but I talked about Jade Cargill on this show, on this particular Dynamite review, and I stated, like, hey, look, you know, Jade Cargill's TBS title run, there's just no direction, you know, when it comes to Jade Cargill. And that is the biggest problem that AEW has right now. There's no direction when it comes to Jade Cargill. They don't have anybody right now that is on the level of Jade Cargill that can dethrone her for the TBS Championship. I hear a lot of people saying, you know, Chris Statlander, but I mean, Chris Statlander, do you hear, honestly, whenever Jade Cargill comes out, do you hear people chant Chris Statlander's name? Do you constantly hear the people on Twitter talk about Chris Statlander whenever Jade Cargill comes out? No. So I think Chris Statlander should be, at this point, out of the running. But it is what it is. My wanting prediction is I want Taya Valkyrie to win, but my logical prediction is guessing Jade Cargill will be retaining the TBS Championship. We have the AEW International Championship Blackjack Battle Royale as Orange Cassidy defends his International Championship against 20 other men. This is absolutely insane, but he's going to be basically facing off against 20 men, which is crazy because the story that they are telling with Orange Cassidy is that he is getting gassed and exhausted by defending his title every single freaking week. So the people that are going to be involved in this match, you got guys like Ricky Starks, Swerve Strickland, Switchblade Jay White. All those guys are going to be involved in this match, and there's many different possibilities that can happen in this match, man. Jay White could definitely, you know, get the win in this match. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it did. Granted, I would have much rather him win the title in the one-on-one match against Orange Cassidy, but that is just me. But you know, Ricky Starks could win the match. You could have a guy like Swerve Strickland end up getting the win. I mean, he's doing stuff with Keith Lee. I don't know why, because they have been feuding for months now, but it is what it is. But out of all people, I do see Orange Cassidy end up retaining the AEW International Championship, and then we can move after Double or Nothing and then start planning the eventual downfall of Orange Cassidy. We have the unsanctioned match between Chris Jericho and Adam Cole. This is one of my favorite stories that have been told on AEW, and we now have Sabu as the special enforcer. I talked about this earlier. It's kind of random that they did that, but it is what it is. But nonetheless, it's going to be a great match overall, and I'm definitely excited to see what they're going to be doing. It's going to be freaking brutal. And honestly, you know, I talked about this constantly whenever I talk about AEW, whether it be a Dynamite review or a pay-per-view review, but Chris Jericho, man, in ring, he's been fantastic throughout this whole year, man. He's had a career year in ring-wise, and him going into a feud with Adam Cole is not a bad decision whatsoever. Now, thing is after this feud is over, I honestly hope to God that they don't continue to have Adam Cole feud with the Jericho Appreciation Society, because that is going to diminish his momentum, in my opinion. And really, the goal that AEW should have in this match is further elevate the momentum that Adam Cole is going to be having, because we all know eventually Adam Cole is going to be challenging for the AEW World title. It's not going to be now, but it's going to be eventually down the line in the future later this year. So hopefully they can keep that momentum. But my pick for this match is I have Adam Cole beating Chris Jericho in this unsanctioned match. We got Wardlow defending the TNT Championship against Christian Cage in a ladder match. Now, this match is very interesting because, of course, it's Christian Cage and it's Wardlow. You guys know my stance on Wardlow. I think Wardlow has been devalued so much. If there's anything that AEW has done wrong, it's Wardlow, man. The booking of Wardlow has just been absolutely atrocious by giving him the championship and then having him drop it to Powerhouse Hobbs, which, to be honest with ourselves, is rendered absolutely useless because Wardlow ended up getting it back, you know, just a couple weeks later. It was just really dumb. I hated the booking of Wardlow. And honestly, you know, hopefully this feud with Christian really further elevates that, but you know, honestly, I wouldn't be against the idea of Christian Cage holding the TNT Championship, because Christian is such a good heel, and if there's anything that AEW is good at, it's booking heels. You know, they're much better at booking heels than they are booking at baby faces at this point. But I wouldn't be surprised if Wardlow won. But again, this is very similar to the Jade Cargill and Taya Valkyrie match. My want is Christian Cage, but if you look at it from a logic perspective, most likely Wardlow is going to get the win and retain the TNT Championship in the ladder match. We got the AEW World Tag Team Championships on the line as FTR defends their titles against Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. You guys know my stance on this as well. I think this feud is really stupid. The fact, out of all people you have FTR feuding with, like FTR, in my opinion, is the best tag team in the world today. And of all people that you have them feud with, you have them feud with Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. Again, I like Jeff Jarrett and I like Jay Lethal, but again, those are not the types of guys that should feud with Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler. We should really think more on the direction with FTR after Double or Nothing. But Mark Briscoe is the special guest referee, and that kind of made things a little bit more interesting in my opinion. Mark Briscoe is great nonetheless, and honestly, it's pretty logical. I mean, FTR are going to be retaining the championships. There's no way Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal are going to be winning those titles at all. We got the AEW Women's World Championship on the line as Jamie Hayter will be defending her championship against Toni Storm. Now, this is very interesting because I believe Jamie Hayter currently is injured. We're not sure if it's a minor injury or a major injury, but she is injured. Now, they did wrestle before on an AEW pay-per-view. They did wrestle at Full Gear last November, which I attended, by the way, and it was a very, very, very good match. So I honestly expect these women to knock it out of the park. But who do I honestly expect winning this match? I definitely do see Jamie Hayter getting the win over Toni Storm. Now we got the first of our doubleheader main event, as I like to call it. We have Anarchy in the Arena. We have the Elite, consisting of the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, and Hangman Adam Page, taking on the Blackpool Combat Club, that being Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, Bryan Danielson, and Wheeler Yuta. It's no secret, I even went on record on this show and stated specifically that the Blackpool Combat Club right now, the way that the direction of the Blackpool Combat Club is so much better than the direction of the BCC last year. Turning heel for the Blackpool Combat Club was the best decision that AEW has ever made for any type of action, because right now it gave the Blackpool Combat Club a new lease on life, and this feud has done that tremendously. Now, who do I see winning this match? this is going to be a little bit of a hot take, but I honestly do see the Blackpool Combat Club getting the win. This is why. Now, a lot of people are talking about Don Callis and Konosuke Takeshita. What role do those two men play? Could it be a scenario in which Don Callis could align himself with the Blackpool Combat Club? I honestly do not think so. But Don Callis has been in the ear of Konosuke Takeshita. Could it be a scenario in which, yes, we do know Konosuke Takeshita is not going to be involved in the match, or he's not going to be wrestling a part of any group in the match. He's kind of, in a way, I don't want to say remaining neutral because he kind of isn't. But from the look that he had on his face a couple of weeks ago in that ending on Dynamite, he kind of looked like he was remaining neutral. But we all know Don Callis is in his ear. Could it be a scenario in which Konosuke Takeshita comes in and it looks like he's going to be helping the Elite, but instead turns on the Elite, turns heel, and joins the Blackpool Combat Club? That could be a very interesting scenario. And then after that, the Blackpool Combat Club end up getting the win. And then we end up getting, blood and guts, in which we have Kota Ibushi join the Elite. We have absolutely no idea, but that's just a thought. And honestly, that's one of my biggest, hopefuls that I have for this match, because I'm very excited to see what goes on. But my pick in this match, the Blackpool Combat Club end up getting the win. And into our main event, we have the AEW World Championship on the line as MJF defends his title against Jack Perry, Jungle Boy Jack Perry, Darby Allin, and Sammy Guevara. The four pillars will be main eventing AEW Double or Nothing. And it's no secret, MJF is going to be getting the win regardless. But there's one thing that I can say about this match is a lot of people will literally be full on silent after the match is over. I talked about this on my Dynamite review. This match will be the equivalent of AJ Styles versus Christopher Daniels versus Samoa Joe at Unbreakable 2005. That is, I know that's a little bit of a hot take. I know it's a hot take, but it's going to be that, man. These guys are going to tear the freaking house down, and it's only going to elevate Jungle Boy, Darby Allin, and Sammy Guevara. And I talked about this on my Dynamite review. You can kind of set up a one-on-one program with Darby Allin and MJF further down the line, beginning with this match, by having Darby Allin, kind of almost having the match won, but MJF stealing the victory. And then maybe a couple of months down the line, you can reignite their feud in a one-on-one feud. That's what I see that could possibly happen, but that's just a thought. But nonetheless, this match is going to be absolutely insane, and it's going to elevate everybody, and a lot of people are going to be remaining silent after this match is over. But nonetheless, MJF will be retaining the AEW World Championship, and he's going to be having a run on a lifetime, and the Reign of Terror will continue. So yeah, that was my AEW Double or Nothing predictions and my AEW Dynamite review. Overall thoughts on the show, I thought the show was great, but not really the best go-home show, and I honestly do think that Double or Nothing is going to be a banger of a show. But that was my AEW Dynamite review from May 24th, 2023. It went really long. We're literally an hour and 12 minutes that we did on this review, but nonetheless, it was a pretty good review. Please like, subscribe, comment down below, push that bell for notifications, and look out for more videos right here on the WrestleHavoc Podcast, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the Squared Circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and as the freaking referee would say, ring, ring, ring that damn bell for more notifications. And as always, it is Flamin' Ricky DeRays signing out. I'll see you guys later.